Hello Disney fans, this is Christian Milan again. Did you know that the first two limited edition items for D23 Expo 2017 were introduced at Star Wars Celebration? This and other lessons that we can use for the D23 Expo 2017. Here we go. Star Wars Celebration is the annual Star Wars convention, and it was one of the largest conventions that Disney holds, other than the D23 Expo. So what we can learn from this expo this past weekend really will help us in the D23 planning process. The first thing is Star Wars Celebration had 70,000 attendees. To compare, D23 Expo has about 45,000 attendees in 2015. So over this past weekend at Star Wars Celebration, the very first limited edition products were introduced for the D23 Expo. The first is R5 D23 that's going to be for sale at the Dream Store. The second limited edition item, actually also available at the Dream Store, is this Ewok Plush. The second thing that we learned from Star Wars Celebration was about lines. Now, for their main hall, equivalent to our Hall D23, they officially started lineups at 8 p.m. the night before. It was 10 p.m. in 2015 at the D23 Expo. So before 12 the night before the main hall presentations, if you weren't already in line, you were not guaranteed a live viewing of the show. They started distributing wristbands between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. the day of the presentation. Now this is very important. If you were not present between 6 and 7 a.m., let's say you asked your friends to hold your place in line, if you were not physically there, you did not get a wristband. And in D23 Expo 2015, there were some people that missed getting the wristband necessary to get into a show because they left the overnight line. Now the fourth thing that we learned from Star Wars Celebration is that there were overflow rooms. And in D23 Expo, this is probably going to be the arena when Hall D23 is filled up. One note of caution though, in Star Wars Celebration, only about 20% of the people in line for the main hall shows actually got into either the live show or the overflow room. The fifth thing that I learned, and this is extremely important and kind of a secret, in D23 2015 and in Star Wars Celebration, there were a lot of seats reserved for press, and in the expo for press and sorcerers. Not all of them filled up. So there was actually a standby line filling in the gaps of those front rows where should have been presenters or press or sorcerers. And this standby line actually got in after all the overflow rooms were booked. So one little secret is, if you're able to get into a standby line and you did not wait in the regular line or the overflow line, then you might be able to snag a spot in an even better seat. This is kind of a bypass method and I do not guarantee it, but it happened and you might get lucky if you get in that standby line. The sixth thing that I learned from Star Wars Celebration is there's a stage very similar to Center Stage at D23 Expo from 2015. You'll have a lot of stars show up just impromptu, and they have monitors that actually showed what was happening in the main hall presentations, and it did not require a line. So if you just wanted to not wait in line and be on the floor and just camp out in front of Center Stage at the D23 Expo, you'll probably see a lot of stars and not have to spend hours waiting in line. Lesson number 7. Overnight surprises. So when you're in the overnight line, what Disney does is they reward you for being there. And they're so grateful to the fans that sometimes they have directors like Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, come and greet the fans the night before. And he signed so many autographs and talked to so many people and took so many pictures. It was incredible. Now, this idea that I'm about to share with you was actually shared by a little girl that, so I can't take credit for it. But if you make a human tunnel, like have 2 lines of people that the director can pass in between, they can sign and take pictures a lot faster just going one by one to each person and just pass through that tunnel. If you make a bowl shape and push against him and try to get in to get an autograph, it'll take him a lot longer. So if you're watching this video and we do have a surprise in the Hall E overnight line, please try to make a human tunnel to make it easy for everyone to get a picture or autograph. Lesson number 8. Even people that were in the overflow room got a promotional poster. Now, a lot of people won't want to wait for the overflow room. They say, I want to see it live, or I don't want to see it at all. Well, if you were patient enough and you waited, you were rewarded with a promotional Last Jedi poster, which was phenomenal. Lesson number 9. There will be a more realistic lightsaber that will be introduced at the D23 Expo 2017. They alluded to it at the Star Wars Celebration, but they said they're going to have more details and possibly sell it at the D23 Expo, so keep an eye out for that one. Lesson number 10. The concession stands were completely overwhelmed. People that wanted to get a Coke or just something simple found it really hard to get it at the beginning of the day because they wanted to get in line, and as they got toward the panel time, they didn't want to leave their line, so they really didn't get anything to eat till after 12. So if it were me, I would get something really big to eat in the morning before everything starts. Lesson number 11. The convention store, the Star Wars store where they sold limited edition merchandise, had a blacked out curtain, so you really couldn't see what they were selling, and people waited over 3 hours to get into this store. Now here's the thing, in D23 Expo for this year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get in as early as possible, shoot a video, so if you're waiting in these really long lines and you follow me, you'll probably be able to see a preview of what they're selling in the stores. Lesson number 12. Funko Pop and Lego had an online lottery system before the convention started. They may do that with this D23 Expo, so just keep an eye out for that. Lesson number 13, Wi-Fi issues. The Star Wars Celebration actually had Wi-Fi open to all at the beginning of the convention. But as it progressed, people were streaming so much video that they immediately shut down the Wi-Fi and password protected it. So for D23 Expo, do not rely on the convention Wi-Fi. And lesson number 14, and frankly my favorite lesson, is being in Star Wars Celebration, you are with so many fans that love and care about the same things that you do. There's a certain energy of people that live and breathe this stuff. And at the D23 Expo, it's going to be no different. There's going to be a lot of people in line, on the floor, watching different panels that will have that same exhilaration of hearing about the new news and the new announcements. That energy is priceless. And that is the reason why this expo is going to be such a fantastic event. So that's it, my 14 lessons from the Star Wars Celebration. Thank you so much for watching. I feel really special that you guys find these videos helpful. And if there are any burning questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. I will try to answer as many as I can. And of course, subscribe, because if you're waiting in line and it's the day of the expo, you might find a preview of the store you're about to go into. But for now, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a magical day.